Hey guys, Dom here from Refinance. Now today we're going to go over a new deal that's just come to us, and I'm going to go on record here of saying this is potentially the deal. I've never seen a disparity between this deal being the best deal and the number two, three, and four deal that's available. So what this means is this is the biggest distance in the current market of what's available. And it really needs a bit of an explanation as to understand it and just to kind of get the reasoning why it is by far the best option to refinance or even purchase right now. So this deal is with the Bank of China. Bang. Now, the first thing you're going to think of is Bank of China. Haven't heard of them. And even if you have heard of them, it seems a little bit left field. You don't see branches. If you Google them, BOC, Bank of China, what's going to come up? You're going to see some pretty ordinary Google reviews, but if you Google, another bank like CBA, they've actually got their reviews on. You don't see them. So if all the lenders have these reviews on, you're going to see ordinary reviews. Everyone hates banks, right? So the Bank of China, why should you be refinancing or purchasing with them? And the reason is pretty simple. The deal's just too damn good. Like, these guys have always been pretty competitive over the last 4 or 5 years. We've always had access to them, but previously there's been offerings from some of the larger lenders, the St. George's, ANZs, that have been slightly better or the same, right? And for us and for most Aussies, it's a no-brainer when you've got ANZ or St. George offering something in Bank of China. You're going to go with the household. And I totally understand that, and that's what we've been advising our clients. But now we need to look at things differently, and I'm going to go over why. So first, why is this deal so good? And it is ridiculously good. So this is just a correspondence we've got about it. So firstly, you get a refinance cash rebate of 4,288 for a loan amount of 250,000 or above. That is officially the biggest cash back. Actually, no, there was a $5,000 at one point, but that is in the last 4 or 5 months, that's easily the biggest. 4,288 for a loan of 250,000. It's the second biggest we've ever seen, and it's by far the biggest currently for that loan amount. Now, you're also going to get one for a purchase. No, banks don't do this anymore. They used to all do it. I believe Citibank, Bank of Queensland used to give you 2,000, 3,000 or 4,000 when you purchased a home. These guys are doing 2,000 when you buy one. So that, from my understanding, they're the only one doing that. And this isn't even the best part. That's the great, and they're also waiving an annual fee, which is fantastic. Now, the cashbacks are usually the biggest pulling point, but in this scenario, it's actually secondary to these rates. 5.53, or you can even get as low as 5.43. This is just, like, I can't even explain how nuts this is. Let's have a look at what some other lenders are doing. Now, this is just a spreadsheet I've got up from our comparison of some of the other guys. You've got Bank of China 5.43. Look at that. Look at that distance. That is nuts. It's 36 basis points. And guess what? Macquarie aren't doing a cashback. So not only are you getting 36 basis points cheaper, you're getting $4,288. These guys are not doing that. The difference on, if you had a loan of $1 million, if you've done a comparison over 2 years, there is distance of about $12,000 to $13,000 in savings between option 1 and option 2. That is, we don't see that usually. Usually it's 3, 4, 5 grand. We don't see 12,000. It's ridiculous. Now, if we can't even find a lender doing cash, or MeBank is still doing that actually. So Macquarie don't do cashback. Suncorp, they've stopped. St. George, they're still doing 2,000, so they're actually a really good second option. So this would actually be the second best option. MeBank's still doing 4,000, so another good option. But if you look at the distance from Bank of China to St. George or any bank, we're talking 40 basis points. We're talking another 2,288 in cashback. It's just nuts. Like I can't emphasize enough how much better this deal is being number one than number 2, 3, and 4. And look, these rates are going to change because I'm sure the RBA will go up. It's actually today's the 4th of July. It might actually go up today, being the first Tuesday of the month. But the distance won't change. If it goes up by 25, Bank of China goes up by 25, so does everyone else. That disparity or the distance between number 1, number 2, and number 3 will remain. So in short, why have you not really been hearing Bank of China the last 4 or 5 years from us? They've always been competitive, but they've never been this competitive. And this all of a sudden is too competitive to simply ignore. So we have established that this deal is extremely good, as an understatement. But can we trust a refinance with Bank of China? So we go to their website and look, it is pretty standard. It's very simple, just to the point. You can tell they've not really gone overboard in terms of their marketing or web design. It's pretty just stock standard. But what really was a massive highlight for me. So we will look at Bank of China in the context of Australia. Probably haven't heard of them. There's a few branches in all the major cities. How big are they on a global scale? So Bank of China are actually the 4th biggest bank in the entire world, right? Their total asset pool is over $4 billion. Compared to, and 1, 2, and 3 obviously are China as well, but Bank of China compared to the biggest bank in the world, there's not that much distance. Like they might be 30% smaller than the biggest bank in the entire world. So we can see that they're a major player. The biggest guys that everyone knows, HSBC, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, all your household and Barclays, for those who watch the soccer. Now let's look at the biggest Australian bank on this list. And, no surprises that it's probably going to be CBA, and it is, Commonwealth Bank, with an asset pool of 830 million. Bank of China is 5 times bigger, right? That is, so the biggest bank in Australia, Bank of China, is 5 times bigger than that. And we look at another big player in the global markets in Australia, which is ING. I saw them before, which is $1 million. They're 4 times bigger than ING. Now, ING are a global bank that people have absolutely no problem using in Australia. Selling ING is as easy as selling, ANZ or CBA. And the reason is simply that they have an absolutely fantastic customer service offering. Their online stuff is on point. Their service is fantastic if to call them. But it's mostly down to branding and marketing. You go on ING and, I've got to be careful here. I've actually got an account. I don't want that to pop up. So we go to ING, let's go to their, have a look at their everyday bank account. It just looks cleaner. It looks more modern. You can tell they're more in touch with, the Western world, let's say, whereas Bank of China's a dull website anyway. So Bank of China is also an international bank. It's 4 times bigger than a bank that is also international that everyone uses. But ING just market much better. They probably put a lot more resources towards their customer service offering. Now, Bank of China. So we've established that they're easily the best deal on the market, or one of the best deals. I'm not going to say from my understanding, from what I've seen, it is by far the best. And we've established they're quite big on a global scale. But how are they in real life practice to lodge a deal and to have as your bank? Now, I'm not going to say they're fantastic because they're not. The lodgement process for us as brokers, is not the best. When I say not the best, it is a little more rigorous than lodging a St. George or ANZ deal. They will likely ask for a few more documents. It might take a week or 2 longer. The realities of that is they're simply not integrated into the Australian broking system as someone else. And that is a major reason as to why they're so competitive. These guys know they've got ground to make up on from a reputation standpoint and also from a service standpoint. This heavily loaded discount and this dollar for dollar best deal you'll find is to make up for that. Hey, we're not the finished article yet, but we're that much cheaper than everyone else, so give us a try. And so that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to take a week and a half longer than a normal refinance. You might have to provide 1 or 2 more documents than you would have, but for a net saving of 12,000 over 2 years, I think we can all put an extra 1 or 2 hours of work into it. It just makes sense. Now, when you do complete the refinance with a Bank of China customer, the biggest thing to remember is we are your brokers. You speak to us about anything loan related. If you have a question or you need more money from them, you speak to us. When it does come to a service standpoint, like you want to organize your direct debits or you want to speak to someone about your account directly, you will have to give the Australian hotline a call. Most things you can do on the internet banking side, although it does look pretty simple, that's also a benefit in a way that, you know, whatever you need to do, it just gets you to the point. There's no added details that will make things more difficult than it has to be. So that's the Bank of China, and we've had access to them for 4 or 5 years. We've done a few deals. Lately, we are doing a lot of deals with them, and it's just because they're that much cheaper than anyone else. We've had some good experiences. We've also had some average experiences, but you'll get there with the lodgement process as long as you work with us as brokers. We will do everything. We understand what they need, and we're going to, you know, relay that to you in the easiest fashion. So just as a summary, let's go over that deal again, because it really does take looking at twice. You're going to get $4,288 cash back for a refinance of $250K loan amount or above, $2,000 for a purchase, as long as the loan is $250K above. Can't be an LMI deal, it has to be 80% or less, which most of it is. And your first year annual package fee will be waived, which is fantastic. Not every bank does that. In fact, most don't. And we've got rates of 5.53 or 5.43 with, you know, some added LVR discounts, and even interest only 5.93. Like, let's be real here. If repayments are getting a little bit tough, or you've got a holiday coming up, you've got a few kids going to school, that can be expensive. Man, consider interest only for a couple of years. The rate is still 5.93 interest only is still just about the same as the best principal and interest offering from other lenders. So you can wipe 20-30% off your repayments and still have a fantastic rate. So that's it, guys. Bank of China, as of right now, and we've been given some assurances it's going to be a great deal for a good time. You can see Q3 here. Q3 has just begun. We've got 3 more months. Take this offer serious, and we will do everything we can to make it a reality. And ultimately, these guys are one of the biggest in the world. You know, it's super secure. And if we do understand this isn't for everyone as well, if you're just about getting the best deal, these guys win hands down. But if you're about just kind of getting a great deal with a little more familiarity, we still have some good. It doesn't look as good compared to Bank of China, but I assure you, this is still a very, very good deal. MeBank is still a very, very good deal. But this is just we haven't seen something like this pretty much ever, with the disparity as I've been speaking about. So guys, if you're speaking to one of our brokers, this should give you a little bit of confidence. Ask your broker as many questions as possible. Ultimately, we want to feel as comfortable as humanly possible to go forward with these guys. We want to refinance you with the best deal, but we want you to have the most confidence out there. And let's get those applications in, because the other thing to mention is that when a deal is this good, the queue gets big. You know, think of this like the best restaurant in town. I'm not going to say that, but just a very good restaurant is having an unbelievable deal. There's going to be a lineup, and you want to get to the front of that line. You don't want to be at the end of the line where an application could take, you know, 2 months, when it take a month if you be proactive by doing something about this now. So there it is, guys. Bank of China. We look forward to helping you refinance or purchase with them, and ask us as many questions as you can. Thanks.